All right, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us today. This is the Westside Planning Team's first webinar, and we're excited to be here. We had about 100 people RSVP for tonight's event, and we really appreciate your taking the time to be here with us tonight to learn about the community planning process and how you can get involved. As you know, the city is updating 4 of the community plans on the West Side: the West LA, Palms Mar Vista Del Rey, Venice, and Westchester Playa del Rey community plans. These updates are an extraordinary opportunity for you to help shape the future of the West Side, not only for yourselves, but more importantly, for future generations, for your kids and your grandkids. This is the last of our series of Planning 101 presentations, and is intended to give you a general understanding of what the community plans are and how they fit into the broader planning landscape in Los Angeles. My name is Melissa Olofaituli, and I'm part of the West Side Planning Team. I have the distinction of being the first to present tonight. Also speaking during the PowerPoint presentation will be my fellow planners, Tony Isaiah and Simi Aliou, followed by a Q&A session with our colleagues Dylan Sittig and Jonathan Hershey. We're here to share the important details of the community plan update process and how it affects you, your family, and future community members. The agenda for tonight's webinar is fairly simple: about a half-hour-long presentation followed by a question and answer session. We'll wrap up the webinar at 7:30. Or no later than 7:30 rather. We are recording the presentation and we'll be posting it on our website, planningthewestside.org, soon. The objectives of the meeting tonight are to give you an understanding of how the general plan, community plans, land use, and zoning all work together, what the community plan update process is all about, how the community plan update affects you and your community, and how you can get involved with the process. Here are the 4 main concepts that this presentation will cover. First, I will give an overview of the City of Los Angeles. Then Tony will walk us through planning in Los Angeles, providing a broad overview of the Department of City Planning, the city's general plan, our 35 community plans, land use designations, and zoning. And after that, Simi will walk us through the steps of the community plan update process and share the various avenues for participation. She'll then briefly go over some planning-related resources that are available to you, as well as specific ways to get involved. All right, first we'll start with an overview of the City of Los Angeles. Here's a snapshot of Los Angeles. It shows that LA is highly diverse and very large. Just look at this map. It shows 7 major US cities: St. Louis, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Minneapolis, San Francisco, Boston, and Pittsburgh, plus Manhattan, all fitting within the geographic boundaries of Los Angeles. Our city is diverse in terms of our geography as well as demographics. Because of this, planning in Los Angeles presents a number of challenges, and with it, opportunities. The City of Los Angeles is a charter city. A charter city is a city in which the governing system is defined by the city's own charter rather than by general law. We have a 15-member city council, and our mayor is Eric Garcetti. There are 2 council members who oversee the 4 West Side community plan areas that we're updating: Mike Bonin, who represents Council District 11, and Paul Koretz from Council District 5. This is the organization chart for LA. At the very top is the electorate. That's all of you. The first row lists the city's elected officials, including the city council, the mayor, the city attorney, and the controller. As you can see, there are multiple city departments, each with its own mission and duties, including building and safety. The core services provided by them include plan check and permitting, inspections, and code enforcement. The Housing and Community Investment Department, or HCID-LA, which implements various housing and community development programs such as rent stabilization, homeowner rehab loans, tenant rights, among others, and the Department of City Planning. All right, now Tony will go over planning in Los Angeles and give a broad overview of the Department of City Planning, our general plan, community plans, land use, and zoning.
Good evening. The City of Los Angeles is a charter city. Section 550 states that the department shall have and exercise all the powers and duties provided for it in the charter or by ordinance. The department's mission statement is to create and implement plans, policies, and programs that realize the vision of LA as a collection of healthy and sustainable neighborhoods, each with a distinct sense of place based on a foundation of mobility, economic vitality, and improved quality of life for all residents. The department is charged with the responsibility of preparing, maintaining, and implementing the city's general plan, which regulates development of the city. There are three major planning divisions, including policy planning, project planning, and operations. The Director of Planning, Vince Bertoni, was appointed by the mayor and is the head of the planning department. Currently, we have approximately 380 staff members. Other planning-related duties and functions include various commissions. Commissioners are LA residents who are nominated by the mayor and appointed by the city council to their post. This consists of the City Planning Commission, the Area Planning Commissions, and the Cultural Heritage Commission. The City Planning Commission makes decisions on individual planning matters and makes recommendations regarding such broad rules as the general plan. There are 9 members. There are 7 geographical area planning commissions, APCs, which have the responsibility to hear appeals on local land use matters. Each commission has 5 members, all of who must live within the region served by the APC. This area is represented by the West Los Angeles APC. The Cultural Heritage Commission is comprised of 5 members whose main task is to identify historical or cultural sites and prevent them from being demolished. In addition to these commissions, there are other citizens boards such as the Historic Preservation Overlay Boards and the Design Review Boards. In summary, some planning decisions are made by people like you, individuals who represent their own communities, as opposed to just government officials and bureaucrats. Why does planning exist? Well, we hear comments from both sides of the spectrum when it comes to regulating land use. On the one hand, people say, I can't believe that the city thinks it can tell us what to do with our private property. This is absurd. Then on the other hand, people ask, why isn't the city stopping this development in our community? So why do cities have the authority to regulate how private property can be used? In the United States, cities were given the authority to regulate land use dating back to the 1926 Euclid versus Ambler court case, where the Supreme Court found that the village of Euclid had the legal authority to regulate land use through zoning in the interest of maintaining the character of a neighborhood and regulating where certain land uses should occur. This provided a long-standing basis for cities to regulate land use by guiding what types of development, buildings, and uses are allowed within the city and where they are located. In the city of Los Angeles, planning department staff is charged with ensuring that proposed projects are compatible with zoning regulations. The purpose of planning. There are numerous goals that we attempt to achieve through regulating land use around the city. To balance neighborhood priorities and enhance and preserve our built environment through long-range planning, to shape and improve communities, to plan for and accommodate change and growth and the future development of our city and its neighborhoods. Departments must plan for the growth and development of a vibrant city. Community involvement is key to ensuring the success of any plan. Again, your involvement and that of other stakeholders in the community are key components of the planning process. For example, let's talk about neighborhood priorities. There are many priorities that have to be taken into consideration throughout the planning process. By no means is this a comprehensive list. However, we've consistently heard from community members around the city that these are items that neighborhoods care deeply about. During the community plan update process for your community, you and your neighbors may discover additional priorities that planning staff should consider in the update process. Every city in the state of California is required to maintain a general plan that is intended to guide changes in the built and natural environment. General plans are meant to last for a roughly 20-year horizon and are required to address the topic areas listed on the slide. For its part, the City of LA has updated its housing element in 2014, adopted a new health and wellness element in 2015, and adopted an updated circulation element, Mobility Plan 2035, in 2016. This work was undertaken by the citywide division within the Department of City Planning in collaboration with stakeholders and elected officials. The city has recently begun a process to update the remainder of the city's general plan. Dubbed Our LA, this process will unfold over several years. Additional information is available on our department website. Today's presentation will focus on the community plan update process. The aforementioned general plan is required to provide a land use element that addresses what can be built and where. The City of Los Angeles is exceptionally large, both in terms of geography and population, so its land use element is divided into 35 community plan areas. These are administrative boundaries that have existed since the 60s. There are two main components of each community plan: the policy document, sometimes referred to as the plan text, and the land use map. So, who uses the community plans? Users of the plans include residents, business owners, and developers, in that the plan gives some level of certainty or expectation about how a community will look and what can be built. The plans are also used by city employees and departments to make decisions affecting our neighborhoods, including city planners, our colleagues, city planning commissions, city council, and the mayor, who are all guided by the plans when deciding whether to approve new development. In fact, the community plans guide all city departments, not just the planning department. Each policy document lays out goals, policies, and programs. Goals are aspirational in nature and are written as an end state or desired outcome. Plan goals describe how we want our community to look and reflect the issues and opportunities that were identified by the community during the plan update process. For example, a goal from the current Venice community plan is a safe, secure, and high quality residential development for all community residents. Policies guide how to achieve these goals and provide important guidance on proposed projects that aren't allowed by right, since planners need to show that the proposed changes are consistent with the community plan. For example, the Venice plan has a policy to designate specific lands to provide for adequate multifamily residential development. Programs are ways to help implement goals and policies of the plan. Some programs that are included in the plan text outline next steps and future department work programs if and when funding becomes available. But one of the things that's unique about the community plans is that the primary program to implement the plans is through zoning. Now let's dig into land use and zoning. This will get pretty technical, but please bear with me. This is very important because land use and zoning dictate specific regulations about what can actually be built in our neighborhoods. The land use map generally identifies where broad categories of land uses will be located in the community, such as residential, commercial, industrial, and open space. While the policy document was more aspirational in nature, everything on the land use map is binding. Each property is given a land use designation, and each designation has corresponding zones. What do we mean by corresponding zones? Each land use designation on the map allows for a certain range of zones, sometimes just one, sometimes quite a few. We say that these zones correspond to the land use designation. Although multiple zones may be allowed within each land use designation, only one zone is applied to each property at a time. All right, now we'll transition to zoning. Keep in mind that the broader community plan goals and policies, the land use designations, and the zoning for each particular property are all related because zoning is the tool used to implement the goals and policies of the plans. Zoning determines what you can build and do on any given parcel of land. It includes use regulations that say what people can use a property for, such as single-family homes, apartments, retail, or auto repair, as well as development standards or rules about what the building will look like, including required setbacks, maximum height, maximum FAR, which stands for floor area ratio and generally tells you how large a building's floor area can be in relation to the lot area. This is usually expressed as a ratio. Today, zoning is housed in a voluminous, complicated code that's grown over the years from a small pamphlet shown in the photograph above to an enormous binder that's almost bursting at the seams, where it's not always clear what the rules are or where to find them. Recode LA is the city's comprehensive overhaul of our current zoning code into a web-based and more functional, user-friendly document where all regulations will be located in one place. Recode LA also entails the creation and implementation of new zoning code nomenclature that combines form, character, and traditional zoning concepts. The way that the new zoning terminology will be applied to each parcel throughout the city is through the community plan update process. Zoning is meant to be one of the primary ways that community plan goals and policies are implemented. With the current zoning code, it hasn't always been successful. We spend all this time and city resources updating our community plans and get such good feedback about people's vision for their communities. But because the zoning code is such a blunt instrument, we're unable to really use zoning to implement that vision. Take, for example, the C2 commercial zone. The community plan may identify a street where we'd like to see walkable, charming storefront retail. Throughout the city, that type of area is usually zoned C2. The problem is, not only could you build a cute retail storefront in the C2 zone, you can also build a convenience store in a strip mall, a big box store with a sea of surface parking, or any number of other commercial buildings. Through the community plan update process, we will be able to choose from a greater range of commercial zones that better define what can be built by regulating the form of new buildings, thus ensuring that new development will be more tailored to the community context and sensitive to neighborhood character. But in the meantime, we have to fill you in on how the old code works because that's what's in effect today. Today, when you sit down at your computer or pull out your phone and log on to our zoning information mapping system, you can plug in an address to find out that property's zone. It will include a series of numbers and letters, which we call the zoning string, and may look something like this. Each piece of the zoning string dictates specific use and development regulations for that particular property. All zoning strings include, at a minimum, the zone and height district shown here in pink and blue. The zone, pink, specifies allowed uses on that particular parcel, such as commercial, residential, etc. This example shows a C2 commercial zone. The height district in blue specifies development standards for the physical development itself, the maximum building height, maximum FAR, the number of residential units that may be built, and any required setbacks. In addition, the zoning string may include Q conditions or qualified conditions, which are special restrictions applied to zoning. In this example, the Q condition is white. The zoning string may also include a supplemental use district shown here in yellow, indicating that the property is in a special district and that special rules apply. In the example, the property is in a community design overlay, which outlines specific design standards for projects. Extra appendages like Qs and CDOs have been created over the years to refine and regulate development beyond what the current zoning scheme alone could accomplish. All right, next, Sami is going to walk through the update process for the community plans.
As previously mentioned, the land use element is one of 7 required elements of the general plan. Due to the large size of the City of Los Angeles, the land use element for our city is divided and represented as 35 separate community plan areas. This colorful map depicts the city's 35 community plan areas. Many of the community plans were last adopted in the 1990s. In 2006, there was an effort to update 10 community plans in various parts of the city. Unfortunately, funding for the program was significantly impacted by the 2008 recession. Some of those plans have been adopted in recent years, while others are currently making their way through the city's adoption process. The current community plan update program is driven by the City Council and Mayor Eric Garcetti. The City Council and Mayor Eric Garcetti tripled our employee resources in order to accelerate the update of the community plans within a shorter timeline. The Department of City Planning will batch groups of community plans and update them simultaneously. In the end, all of the 35 community plans should be updated by approximately 2024. Here is a snapshot of the Department of City Planning's update program. The community plans on the left in color have been adopted or are in the process of being adopted. The plans in black and white are either in the process of being updated or are in the queue to be updated by the year 2024. The 4 West Side community plans are batched with the Harbor, Southeast Valley, and Southwest Valley community plans. The plan update is comprised of 4 major components. The updated policy document or plan text, which establishes goals, policies, and programs for a community. The updated land use map, which generally illustrates the distribution of land uses located within a community plan, such as residential, commercial, industrial, and open space. Unlike the policy document, everything on the land use map is binding. The application of new zones, known as zoning, which is the primary tool that implements community plan land use policies into development regulations. During the community plan update process, we will create new recode zones that are more tailored to the community context and more in line with the community's vision. Finally, the EIR, or Environmental Impact Report, is required by the State of California Environmental Quality Act to evaluate the potential impact that a project or policy may pose upon the environment. This is a collaborative effort. Your involvement is a huge component of this process in ensuring that the updated community plan reflects your community's vision for future land use and growth. I will now discuss our strategy for ensuring that you are provided many opportunities to participate and offer input. We have crafted a comprehensive outreach effort as part of the update program for the 4 Westside community plans, which include Venice, West Los Angeles, Palms Mar Vista Del Rey, and West Chester Playa Del Rey. The outreach plan on the screen coincides with our 3-year community plan update program. There will be 5 overarching phases, which are represented as the different colored arrows and include the listen, share, consult, finalize, and adopt phase. A series of related tasks and outreach activities are assigned to each phase. Over the next few slides, I will provide a more in-depth explanation of each one. We are currently in the listen phase, which takes place in year 1. The goal of this phase is to inform us about issues and opportunities existing in your community. During this phase, the Westside Plan team has been involved in carrying out background research, data collection, and identifying issues and opportunities. Outreach activities started with a series of neighborhood council presentations, where the Westside Plan team met with the 9 neighborhood councils located within the 4 community plan areas. In order to provide information regarding the community plan update process, we recently wrapped up our neighborhood council presentations. We are now coming to the end of our Community Plan 101 seminar series. Also planned are 4 kickoff events, one taking place in each community plan area. The 4 kickoff events are a great opportunity for you to tell us about your opportunities and constraints you've identified in your community, as well as share your vision for your community. Additional outreach activities include pop-ups at community events, survey distribution, youth activities, targeted community meetings, office hours, and walking tours. Regarding the walking tours and smaller community meetings, we encourage you to invite us out so that we can have the opportunity to view your community through your lens. In order to further drive home the importance of having a participation during this outreach phase, I will share a real-life example of how a community's input during the beginning stage of the community plan update process helped to shape specific policies and regulations within their updated community plan. As you may be aware, the South Los Angeles Community Plan was recently updated. During the initial outreach phase, community stakeholders expressed concerns regarding the overconcentration of certain undesirable land uses, such as predatory lending businesses, drive-thrus, and liquor stores. The community plan update team for that plan area took these comments into account and determined how to address these concerns through the updated community plan. In this instance, the community's feedback was used to develop policies, which ultimately led to the creation of regulations that limit or prohibit those undesirable uses for specific neighborhoods within that community plan area. This slide depicts a public meeting that took place in South Los Angeles community during the listening phase. It shows the new policy that was developed based upon feedback received during this initial outreach phase, as well as the new zoning regulation. Although the issues that exist within the Westside Community Plan areas may be distinct from the issues experienced in the South Los Angeles, the collaborative process involved in preparing a plan that conveys a community's vision is the same. After we complete the listen phase, we will take a few months and compile the information that we have received from you and begin drafting a policy document. During the second phase of our outreach effort, the share phase, which will take place in year 1 and 2, the team will come back and present you with the draft policy document. We unofficially refer to this phase as the "Did we get it right" phase. We will share with you the draft policy document and take this time to confirm whether the draft plan accurately captures your vision for your community. We will then make any necessary modifications to the document, as well as identify change in preservation areas through a series of community workshops and meetings. After we've wrapped up the share phase, we will move into the consult phase in year 2. During this phase, we will further refine the community plan policy document and begin developing our new Recode LA zone packages. In this phase, you will become our zoning consultants and tell us about what type of zoning is appropriate in capturing your vision for your community through a series of meetings and workshops focused on zoning. We will compile the information that we receive and carry out the technical work required to ensure that the document effectively conveys your vision. We will also hold a public scoping meeting and begin drafting the Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, which analyzes potential environmental impacts resulting from the community plan update. This brings us to the finalize phase, which will occur during the early months of year 3. This is where we will unveil a draft of the entire community plan, which will include the draft policy document, preliminary land uses, and zones. We will hold a required open house during this phase to receive feedback regarding the draft plan. We will also publish the draft EIR for comment and prepare responses to any comments that we receive. Finally, we will enter into the adopt phase during the latter part of year 3. During this phase, we will shepherd the proposed plan through the adoption process. The adoption process will entail a series of meetings where we will seek approval from different committees, commissions, and the City Council. Once the community plan is successfully adopted, the team will focus on the many post-adoption tasks to ensure that the plan is implemented as seamlessly as possible. After the plan is adopted and is implemented, we will have an updated policy document, land use map, and new zoning, which will serve as a blueprint to guide new development in your neighborhood. Lastly, I will briefly describe some resources that are available to you that you may reference for more information regarding the topics we discussed this evening. Here is a list of resources available to you. ZEMAS, which stands for Zoning Information and Map Access System. This is our web-based mapping tool of all properties within the City of Los Angeles. On this application, you can find out basic information about a parcel, the Department of City Planning website, and the frequently called numbers list. You may also reach out to Council Member Paul Koretz or Council Member Mike Bonin, as they both oversee portions of the West Side Community Plan areas. There are many ways to get involved in the update process for your community plan. Here are just a few suggestions to help you get started. Attend upcoming kickoff events and encourage your neighbors to attend. The more, the merrier. We will soon upload a community feedback survey to the Westside Community Plan website at planningthewestside.org. Please log on and fill one out so that we can gain an understanding of the constraints and opportunities within your community. We will also have hard copies of the survey available at our upcoming kickoff events. Be sure to check out the planningthewestside.org website. The website contains detailed information about the plan update process, upcoming meetings, and workshops, in addition to materials from previous events. We are more than happy to be your guests at community meetings so that we may introduce ourselves, discuss the community plan update process, listen to concerns, and answer any questions. Another way to get involved is by joining your neighborhood council's land use committee. During our presentation to the various neighborhood councils, we learned that many of them plan to create an ad hoc community planning group to specifically focus on the update process. You may also consider forming your very own working group with fellow community stakeholders. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time and attention.